Hey guys, so I know it's been a little while, but this year's been kind of rough, health wise for me. I have been battling on and off issues with uh, fevers and just colds. It has not been good. Um, the other thing is that it's been kind of hard to put together videos because with my work schedule, I have not necessarily been able to watch the shows in real time. So I've had to record them and then watch them back later. And that takes a little bit longer, especially if I'm working till midnight. And with Monday Night Raw, I'm not going to make it till 3 a.m. and then be able to put a video out that night. So that has just not been happening. But my goal is to begin to start getting those out again for you. And with that being said, we're going to go into what's been going on in this world of WWE wrestling. The biggest topic would be Sasha Banks and Naomi walking out. Um, that is fact. It did happen. Um, at first, I considered that maybe it might be work, but with the fact that they have now brought on having this tournament to determine new women's tag team champions, I'm beginning to think that that is not a work. It really makes me believe that it is legit. So then you consider, who do you have in this tournament? Right now, at the moment, technically together as established tag teams, you have Shayna Baszler and Natalia. And the one that has kind of just started to really take shape is Doudrop and Nikki ASH. But other than that, all you really have are single superstars that have not necessarily been in a tag team recently. There's nothing established tag team wise for these women. So, what do you do about that? One thing that I did see online as a suggestion is potentially bringing up at least some of the women, at least some of the tag team division from NXT, and seeing if that works. Because there are some tag teams down there, and honestly, at the time that they decided to have their own NXT Women's Championship, Tag Team Championship, there were plenty of women's tag teams, both in Raw and SmackDown as well as NXT. These days, not so much. Obviously, we've all noticed the roster cuts. What you might go that route. We'll find out a little bit more as it gets closer to them actually saying when it's going to happen, how exactly it's going to work. And I'm sure that as whatever that date is gets closer, we'll get an idea of who is actually going to be participating. So let's go into kind of what we learned from Monday Night Raw, what it told us. So we had Riddle and the Street Profits taking on the Usos and Sami Zayn. The Usos left. They left Sami Zayn all by himself to deal with Riddle and the Street Profits. They figured out they weren't going to be able to do it. So they had no more interest in it. The issue for Sami is going to be that he cannot help himself but to um, more than likely like go up to the Usos, maybe even Roman himself, demanding an apology, wanting to know why they would do that, and that's not going to sit well with the bloodline. So we will see where that goes. They could potentially set that up for a babyface turn for Sammy if they wanted to. So just hear that out, okay? It could happen. It is a seed being planted that they could make the start of that turn with. Uh, excuse me. Then we had a mixed tag match. We had AJ Styles and Liv Morgan taking on Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. I love this. Honestly, I love what they're doing with Liv, putting her with AJ and Finn. I like the fact that they have put Rhea Ripley with Damian Priest and Edge. It has been great. This match could have been better if Finn had been out there, but keep in mind that Damian and Rhea had Edge out there. Doesn't make it fair. Yeah. It could have if Finn was out there, but he did not come to ringside. He did not even come out afterwards when AJ and Liv were being beat down afterwards either. So, um, what else? So we had Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. I don't know if this is gonna go anywhere. It's a feud. It's a women's feud. So I mean that's okay. Um, I mean I guess we can always use more women's feuds. Keeps things interesting in the division. We then had Cody Rhodes and The Miz. Um, so Cody won via disqualification. Oh, sure. Because Miz was disqualified because Cody was attacked. Because Rollins attacked him. Yes. So, one other thing that I should mention as an aside that did happen, which I don't know if it's gonna go anywhere or not, but what this did tell us is that this thing between Veer and the Mysterios is not over. So, Jerry Lawler came out and he was having an edition of the King's Court. And he had Veer Mahan out there and he was asking him some questions. Veer doesn't give many answers. But he was definitely upset and he was done answering questions. He didn't care for Jerry. But thankfully the Mysterios did come out, but Lawler got out of the ring before he could attack. So what that tells us is that that whole thing is not done. And the Mysterios held their ground. And that's good. I don't know where it leads, but Okay. We then ended up figuring out another match that will be happening at Hell in a Cell. So Ezekiel took on Chad Gable, and he wins. Um, there was no disqualification in this one, although Kevin Owens was out there, and that's after the match was when he issued the challenge for a match against Ezekiel at Hell in a Cell, and it appears as though he has accepted this challenge. Okay. So we then have Bobby Lashley and MVP. This is just continuing that whole thing between Lashley, Omos, and MVP. MVP ended up winning with help from Omos. Um, okay. So the last match, so the main event ended up being Becky Lynch versus Asuka, with the stipulation that if Becky Lynch wins, she will then be added to the Hell in a Cell pay per view match between Bianca Belair and Asuka. So let's review and go back a little bit. So when Sasha Banks and Naomi walked out, they had to change their main event that Monday. So what they ended up going with was Becky versus Asuka, with the winner being number one contender. That ended up being Asuka when she sprayed Becky with that green mist that she sometimes will use. And Becky really didn't think that was fair, so she had went to Adam Pearce to see if she could get Asuka out of that match with her in it, that she deserved to be in it. So Adam Pearce was okay with giving her another opportunity, and if she won, she would be added to the match. But Asuka would still be in that match, regardless. So Becky ends up coming out the winner there, and so we now have a triple threat match for the um, SmackDown or Raw Women's Championship. I'm okay with this. It gives these three women something to do, and I think that's great. It gets them time on TV, continues to keep them relevant, and the more women that you can keep on there, the better. You don't always see that from every promotion, having as many women's matches. So, with that being said, I will attempt to put together a video on Friday, and if nothing else, Saturday, with updates from Friday Night SmackDown and what we learned there. All right. Thank you.